What did a real estate agent do that made you walk away instantly? I've met difficult real estate agents before, but this one felt like he was in a competition to make every moment as unpleasant as possible. It started when I messaged him on WhatsApp about an apartment I saw online. His reply was just 2 words: call me. No greeting, no context. I shrugged it off and called anyway. The moment he picked up, he spoke like I had just disrupted the busiest day of his life. He told me he was very busy, that he didn't appreciate lateness, and that his schedule was extremely organized. I said that was fine and agreed to meet him at 6 p.m. An unexpected meeting kept me longer than I planned, so at 5:55 p.m. I texted him to say I might be 5 minutes late just to be polite. I rushed there and walked into his office at 6:01 p.m. He wasn't even waiting for me outside. He was sitting comfortably at his desk in the real estate office on the ground floor of the same building as the apartment. He didn't say hello. He didn't even look up at first. He just immediately started complaining about me being late. I apologized and said my friend, who speaks the local language fluently, would arrive in just a few minutes to view the apartment with me. My friend told me on the phone he was 2 minutes away. The agent didn't like that. He said he had another appointment soon and didn't have time for delays. I said my friend would be there any moment and we'd be quick. His response: I don't like having multiple people around at the same time. My appointments are organized. I even suggested that I didn't mind looking at the apartment together with the next group if that helped him. He pretended he didn't hear me and kept working. My friend walked in at 6:05 p.m. The agent took his time standing up, locking his office door and walking us to the elevator like we were inconveniencing him. On the 3rd floor, the current tenant opened the door and welcomed us in. I started walking around while chatting with him and his partner. Immediately, the agent cut in and said, "Don't talk to the tenant. Look at the apartment." It was abrupt, but I kept moving and took in the layout. When I circled back to the living room, I casually asked the tenant about noise in the building. Again, the agent jumped in. "Don't talk to the tenant." He didn't explain why, he just stood there, stiff and irritated. The tenant ignored him and answered kindly, saying the place was quiet. That made me wonder about the landlord, so I asked the tenant how they were to deal with. Before he could answer, the agent practically rushed into the conversation again. "Don't ask about the landlord," he insisted. He didn't want any information exchanged at all. The tenant still tried to answer, but the agent kept interrupting. At this point, it was clear the agent didn't want me gathering any real information. Maybe he was hiding something. Maybe he just liked control. I wasn't going to argue inside the tenant's home. So I simply said, "If we can't talk now, could I have the tenant's number to ask a few things later?" That set him off. He told me to leave the apartment immediately. He didn't want discussions, didn't want questions, and definitely didn't want us talking to anyone without him hovering over every word, so I left. I walked downstairs and waited outside the building with my friend. By now, it was around 6:41 p.m., which I figured was near the time of his next showing. Sure enough, a couple approached the building looking a bit unsure. I asked if they were here to view the apartment. They said yes. I calmly told them what happened upstairs. The agent didn't want us speaking to the tenant, didn't want us asking about the landlord, and seemed extremely uncomfortable with basic questions. I didn't exaggerate. I just explained the situation. The agent came running out, raising his voice, telling me to stop talking. I ignored the noise and simply finished telling the couple my experience. They thanked me and followed him inside. A few minutes later, a man entered the building, another potential viewer. My friend walked up to him and quickly explained what had just happened. Instead of being surprised, the guy said, "Yeah, that agent is known for this." Then he offered something unexpected. "If you want, I can give you my landlord's number." He did. I called his landlord, briefly explained the situation, and asked if they knew the owner of the apartment we saw. The landlord apologized on behalf of the profession and gave us the actual apartment owner's number. I called the owner, explained the situation calmly, and told her how her agent had treated us. She apologized repeatedly, said this was not acceptable behavior, and assured me she'd speak to him directly. By the time we hung up, I felt more relief than anything else. Not because of revenge, but because the owner actually listened, something the agent clearly wasn't interested in doing.